In my years of living, of working, of participating in the American government, I can tell you I've never seen nothing like this before, ever.
Whip it, whip it, work, work, work,
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Black Brief. This is Jaylen Black, your host, where we give you a briefing of your latest in politics, pop culture, and problems of the day, briefed in a very Jaylen Black way. So thank you all for tuning in another episode. Listen, in my years of living, of working, of participating in the American government, I can tell you I've never seen nothing like this before, ever. So episode 3 of season 2 is going to be called President Elon Musk. And let's just pause there. I want you all to know that I'm being sarcastic when I say this, because do you ever recall voting for Elon Musk? Yeah, me either. Guess what? Nobody did. None of us did. Elon Musk, just to refresh, is one of the richest men in the world. He's actually an immigrant himself from South Africa, and he is over things like X, which was formerly known as Twitter, SpaceX, Tesla, you name it. During the election, the general election this past November, Elon Musk dedicated millions upon millions upon millions of dollars in support of President Donald Trump. And let me just say this right now. Donald Trump was talking like a couple weeks ago, and he started just riffing. He was talking about, yeah, voting machines. Yeah, Pennsylvania, Elon Musk. And for me, I'm like, okay, he's just admitting that it was probably some cheating and fraud going on. But sure, I'm sure we're going to wait for the investigation as we just give power to the richest man in the world. And let me tell you something. I have no problem with people actually just being rich. But usually when you get to that level of wealth, I'm talking billions upon billions. Last I checked, Elon Musk's net worth was like $450 billion. So halfway to a trillion, and we never had a trillionaire before. He has gotten exponentially richer since Donald Trump was elected. And as we've told you on the Black Brief, and it's coming to fruition, is Donald Trump spent the campaign in Mar-a-Lago promising billionaires, millionaires, like how they're going to get richer under him if they give him money, if they support his candidacy. Let me tell you, the way that Elon Musk had a ton of campaign workers working in Pennsylvania. Again, Pennsylvania, that was the most important swing state in this election, putting millions of dollars to influence voters. Sounds like fraud to me. But let's talk about the inauguration a little bit, because you have to see how this kind of has happened, that we have this power and control by Elon Musk. Do you all know at the inauguration, we have never had so much of a net worth of people there? And by network, I mean Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, so over Instagram and Facebook. You had Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos. And then you have the Google CEO, which is Sundar Pichai, and then Elon Musk. If you put all of their networks together, that is more than the GDP of like all countries in the world. These 4 to 5 people have more money than all the countries in the world. Please take a moment and understand what we mean when we say oligarchy. That means that the rich are taking over. The rich have taken over. And that is how we have President Elon Musk. So you probably saw clips recently of Elon Musk holding a press conference in the Oval Office in Washington, D.C. So for those of you who have never been to Washington, D.C., never been to the White House, never been to the Oval Office, the Oval Office is for the President of the United States. As Elon Musk stood up with his son with him, who, by the way, people are going back and forth like, did he tell Donald Trump to shut up and he's not president? It sounds like it. And I'm like, if your little child is saying that, where did he get that from? Daddy? Sure. I want you all to understand how weird this is. First of all, Elon Musk was wearing a Making America Great hat. You are not even supposed to wear campaign related apparel in the Oval Office. Because when we say things like the official side, that means you're not running for office. You are truly a part of the federal government. You are representatives. In this case, you're the president. Why does the supposed president of the United States, Donald Trump, sitting in the chair, listening to Elon Musk stand up and talk to press about how he is taking over the government? And then what are Democrats doing? What are Democrats doing? I saw a statement from Hakeem Jeffries, who is the minority leader of the House of Representatives, and he said, "We don't have control. What do y'all want us to do?" If you are a Democrat elected in office, and I'm not just talking about Congress, I'm talking about on local levels as well. If you are a representative, not even Democrat, if you are a representative that has a sane mind and cares about people, what people want to see right now is you fighting. I don't care if you don't have the numbers to push legislation. You could be holding town halls right now in your district, informing people of how we're having a government takeover. You could be right now talking to the people that elected you to do stuff for their life with our tax money, fighting the fight. It's not all about passing legislation and being able to stop things. We want to see that you can put up a fight. It's hard to make a case of why you deserve another term or why you should do these things when in the most challenging moments right now, we're seeing our leaders bend the knee to the dictatorship of Donald Trump and Elon Musk, President Elon Musk. And again, this is fully sarcasm because Elon Musk will never be a president. He will never be elected. He is extremely unpopular. Like he's never lived a life like you and me. Like when you're worth that much money, like you don't even understand how the crunch of money is even going to affect people. What annoyed me so much about the tariffs, and we spoke a lot in last episode about what the tariffs could bring and things like that. First of all, Trump is losing this trade war that he's putting on Canada, Mexico, and China. They basically were like, look, we're not going to do that. And it's going to be more than a pinch, as Donald Trump referenced, for the American people. We get so many of our goods, services, manufacturing, cars. If you drive a Toyota or Honda, guess where your car is manufactured? Canada. If you eat food, eat vegetables, like a lot of our things do not come from within our country. We also have one of the biggest in size populations, and Americans aren't like other countries. We eat a lot. On average, we eat more than other countries. So you think about all the necessary resources to sustain your life. It is not all made in the United States. And you don't just become America first by bullying others. That's not going to work with other countries. So let's talk a little bit more about President Elon Musk. To be clear, nobody voted for him. So what is wild and probably the most dangerous thing of what Elon Musk has done, and again, we're not even a month into the presidency yet, is that Elon Musk has taken over the Department of Treasury. And for those of you who are like, okay, Treasury, what's that, Jaylen? Your social security numbers, your bank account, your routing numbers. If you have a government-backed mortgage, if you have food stamps or SNAP benefits, if you have any sort of assistance from the government, whether that be a contract or a grant or anything like that, Elon Musk and his Doge staffers that are like apparently like 20-year-old like dudes coming in and like hacking data, they've pushed out federal employees, taken over that department, and now they have access to such personal information. There is slightly good news. An attorney general, I believe, in New York, a Black woman, was able to successfully litigate his control out of our Treasury, but that's just a temporary stop. It is dangerous how you can have a man now controlling his own department that Trump has made for him, going in and just saying, hey, we need to slash this from the federal budget. One of the biggest things with this was the U.S. AID department, where we give so much and support other countries and food initiatives and just being the United States of the world. To them, that's a DEI purchase. Because, DEI is their new word for black, which is the old word for woke and old word for critical race theory. It's all an attack on who we are as people. So I think that probably got the most people like, hey, this is not right. I don't want Elon Musk to know my social security number. I don't want Elon Musk to have access to my financial information. And my thing is, as I'm in the midst of like getting my taxes filed, is that something gonna happen to the IRS? Like, what do we need to know now before I know what I need to do with taxes this year? And it's also student loans. Their next step in Project 2025 is the dismantling of the Department of Education. And let's talk about why they're coming for the Department of Education. Fun fact, do you all know what happened in 1965? Yes, the Civil Rights Act, the Civil Rights Movement. Since we as in Black people, but really all people of color, women and disabled people and more, got freedoms from the Civil Rights Movement, do you know the majority of white people in this country have not voted for the party that did that? So at the time, it was the Republican Party that was kind of gave access to freedoms in the Civil Rights Movement. And like party ideologies switched. I'm sorry, it was the Democratic Party. And party ideologies switched from that, making the Republican Party where the majority of white people vote. Ever since the Civil Rights Movement. So you're telling me that people have truly been so infuriated by the fact that we're not talking about having a leg up on you. We're talking about having some of the same opportunities as you. You want to talk about DEI? Let's talk about the study that came out from Harvard saying about 43% of their graduates have a legacy clause with the university, as in they are a part of people that have donated to the university, people that have formerly been there. I'm like, how is that merit-based? They want to make it seem that if you are a person of color, if you are disabled, if you are a woman, and so forth, that all of a sudden takes away that you have the merit to do your job. Let's be really clear. Black women in the United States are some of the most educated groups by demographic in this country. Black people, on average, have to pull out the most student loans as compared to other races because, again, Black people, like all other people, are trying to get pathways to education to change the financial background that they might have come from. People being raised in poverty and becoming doctors. That's the American dream that you so often talk about. But now you're saying, oh, because you're Black, you probably got here from a diversity initiative. Come on now. No one asked a Black doctor what it took for them to get here. Most Black people that I see in spaces that are predominantly white, like pilots, they're some of the most overqualified to do it because you have to understand this person came from rooms that did not want them to be there. So we had to be twice as better. We had to be twice as smart. We had to be twice as everything that you ever were just to get half of that chance. And all of us got that lecture growing up. We didn't get the, hey, because you're Black, there's also going to be some fun affirmative action things handed to you because you're Black and like the country feels bad for you because of the like centuries of like slavery that we don't like to talk about in history books. You know why else they're coming for the Department of Education? Because there was actually a really good study that came out in CBS News. They went in and they saw like the most common history books taught across the United States. Out of all those books, they either had vague or very little mentions even of slavery in the civil rights movement. There's this idea that if you teach children about the wrongs of this country, that they're going to feel bad about their ancestors' place in it. How about if you teach children about the history? It doesn't matter how good, bad, or ugly. It's history. We can't change our history. If you don't teach that history repeats itself. And that's why 2025 is feeling like 1965 and feeling like 1865, because the moment that we make progress, you realize people have been so mad this whole time about equality that they're doing everything in their power, aka Project 2025, to go backwards. That's the work that President Elon Musk is a part of. And let's be very clear, when we talk about Black jobs, we really need to talk about the federal government. The federal government that is forcing its hand on people to leave. They have offered people to just pay them out if they leave now. And now they're just doing mass firings across the federal government. I want to break this down as someone that did work for the federal government. A lot of people that work in the federal government, different departments, different branches of government, they don't change by president. Yes, you'll have the administration that works in the White House change them with the whoever president's in power. But these other governmental jobs, they're supporting the country. So regardless of if the president was Bush, Obama, Biden, or Trump, they have been working there for the betterment of the country. These are people that have tenured careers, like have been there. These are the people that they're firing. And did y'all know? I actually learned this recently. 1 out of every 5 federal government jobs is held by a Black person. I didn't know that. When you think about 1 out of every 5 and like demographically where we are as a country, that's a lot of jobs. That is a lot of jobs. I was actually talking to my grandmother about this. She said, at the time, Black people had to just go do work that allowed them to be there. So the government was one of the first, not one of the first, but one of those places where you could know, I could just do this job for my country and I could do it well and I could keep a career here. So it's really sad to see. And to conclude my Elon Musk section of this podcast, why? How? What is what I want to say? It's like we are seeing the takeover of our government every day. And one comes to wonder, like, yes, the country allegedly voted for Donald Trump to be president. But since the election was lost, like there had to have been more in place to prepare to turn this country back over to the person that we said was the greatest threat to American democracy. We already knew that. We already knew out of his Project 2025 plans how bad this could be. The biggest effort I saw from Democrats was them getting federal judges kind of pushed in at the last minute before Biden was out. So that way we can have more things held up in court. That's a big thing. But people elected right now, stop thinking about your next re-election. We don't care. We are living through the hardest days of our lives right now, and we just want to see that people care about us. Even if you're a Republican, when you're coming home to your kids are wondering, hey, Dad, people are talking to me at school about how, like, President Trump's not even the president. It's really Elon Musk, and Elon Musk has access to all our financial security. What are you going to do about it? You're having those conversations with your family. You should feel bad, honestly. You should feel bad that you aren't doing enough for people right now. Don't just do for people when your election is coming up. Do for them right now because we need it. To wrap up this episode, I think politics is so intertwined with pop culture and with problems of the day that it's just going to be one. But can we talk about how Donald Trump is also taking over the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. The Kennedy Center, named after President John F. Kennedy, that was assassinated, very popular president, one of the first presidents to actually care about people that aren't white as well. And he said, quote, in a call with his the board of the Kennedys, yeah, we're going to do some big things with it. It's just kind of been a lot of wokeness as of recent, and we're going to have to reverse that. Issa Rae had a sold out show at the Kennedy Center, nixed it. Shonda Rhimes, that was on a board position of Kennedy Center, left. And if you are a Black influencer, if you're a Black person if you're a Black person with money right now, we have to think about ways that we can continue to defund and not support these entities. To be clear, this country doesn't thrive without our dollars and without our culture and without our influence. American culture is nothing without Black culture. So we have to look at how we can continue to roll back. Target, it breaks my heart because I love Target, okay? Like, But Target, no, you have been on the front lines of rolling back DEI. We have not been there. Your stock market is plummeting. I want everybody to see signs like that and remember that we can do that. We can do that. Organizing is not going to happen from podcast to podcast, right? The true organizing, if you haven't been in tune with it, it will not be publicized. It has to be planned and then it has to be implemented. And it's going to cause some of us to get pretty uncomfortable with, I'm used to just going to Walmart, just going to Target, just pick that up. There's a salute for every item that you buy in the store. I promise you, there is a Black business that creates the same, that is probably better item. You just have to find them and support them. There's been so many people making spreadsheets, making lists of places you can find to go things. You just have to plan and put your dollars where your mouth is, because doom scrolling social media is not going to help the realities we're in now. Thank you for watching another episode of The Black Brief, your briefing of politics, pop culture, and problems of the day. Make sure you like and subscribe and share these videos, people, okay? 2025 is quite a year, and you don't want to miss a beat.